Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus one more time. And I'm here this time because I want you to know that there's a God that really, really loves you. I get several messages a day that I'm given to give you when none of you gives a heck about what I'm saying. Many of you, though, believe that there are men that have been called by God to do what God has given them to do. Now, most of those people, you want to refer them back to what we call biblical days. You kind of trust that maybe they were called, and nowadays people are saying they're called by God, and you take issue with most of that. And I don't blame you because they are not doing God's work. And I want to tell you also, the ones who were called by God a long time ago, the only reason they were doing God's work, now listen to me good, the only reason they were doing God's work is that they weren't following a book. They were listening to the Spirit, and as the Spirit gave them utterance, they took care of business. Nowadays, we read a book and think we know everything and know nothing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's for that same reason, that simple reason that I stand before you tonight. I was there last night in Chicago, trying to get some sleep as I was passing through, headed toward the south. And I couldn't sleep because your pain, your suffering. And when I say your pain and your suffering, brother, sister, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Because many of your pains, many of your sufferings are the same things that I suffer every 24/7. Now, some of you got some troubles I don't have. Thank God I don't have them. But anyway, God loves you enough for me to stand here inside to see if we can get rid of your pains and mine. Listen, now let me tell you something. Last night I told you about the rich people, the billionaires, and the millionaires. I want to kind of piggyback on that a little bit tonight. I want to talk about rich people, but I'm not going to say anything about them that I haven't already said. What I really want to say is that there is a humanity against God. There is a humanity against God. You see, when God, I'm going to tell you something that you can listen to if you want to. God didn't tell me to make you listen. He told me to say it. When this earth was made and God decided to put human beings upon it, he had something in mind. That we, the human beings, would be part of God's creation, and we would become creators. We would become team players. We would be on God's team. And what we will do is create. That would be our business, to create. We would create all of those things that come up in our imagination, and God has given us the wherewithal to do it. We, my friends, will create maybe another world if God so plans it that way. Ain't that magnificent? Fantastic. We, creators. And when he did that, he created us so that we could live here on earth as though we were in heaven. I guess heaven already had its host. So he put us on earth. But because we were his, and when I say his, I'm talking about the spirit. I don't know if God's a man or woman or nothing, but I know I haven't seen him except by evidence. And the evidence had nothing to do with man or woman. We had to do with action. So, when I say that God, I'm speaking about a spirit. He made a good God. He got me again. Well, see, 70 years of practicing, he kind of sticks with you. But the Spirit of God designed us in such a way that we would actually be creators, living on earth as though we were in heaven. Now, the major concerns outside of the creation that we would be engaged in was to make sure that we as individuals, listen up, all people, black people, white people, Americans and others, racists and haters, lovers and gays and straights and everybody else, listen up. He made us. God made us. You see how hard it is to pull off that stuff that you've been trained to do? Trained to ignore God. It's hard to treat God right. But anyway, the purpose is that our needs, our wants, and our desires would all be met. Ain't that something? Now God wanted to make sure that my needs, my wants, your wants, my desires, your desires. Now, who is mine? Who's yours? Every human being on earth, not just Americans, not just billionaires, not just millionaires, but every individual on earth could have their needs, their wants, and their desires met. But God didn't stop there. Guess what else God planned? That we would live in peace, that we would be prosperous, that we would have freedom. We would live in freedom. We would have the joy of our lives. And our dreams would come true. Now, ain't that something? Peace, prosperity, freedom, joy of life, and your dreams come true. But that's not all. Wanted to make sure that every human being on earth would never, now these are survival tools here, would never have to be without food, clothing, and shelter. Never. Make sure we never have to be without education and health care. Now, I just told you about needs, wants, and desires. I told you about peace, prosperity, and freedom, joy of life, and the fulfillment of dreams. I told you about everybody got food, clothing, and shelter, education, and health care. Now, we got 7.5 billion people on earth. We got 328 million in America. Now, how is God planning to make sure that all these things that I just got through mentioning, we could have them, especially in a situation in which we are living in today, which seems to be pure hell? Now, Eddie Mark explain that to me. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's a simple matter. The way God was going to make sure that all of the stuff was going to be met is that he gave every last one of the human beings on earth a gift that you can get yourself a career of your own choosing, because you don't have to do just anything. You do what you love that gives you your greatest joy, because this is where your joy comes from. It's being in life, knowing why you're here, and having the opportunity to do it, and people are blessed by it. That's joy, man. Every human being on earth. That means 7.5 billion people on earth. Even the ones that's handicapped. I don't know what, maybe it's a bad word, but people who, you know what I'm talking about, got something they can do. 7.5 billion people. And in America, 328 million. Never have to suffer for anything. Listen to me, people. You're listening to Donald Trump, one of the biggest liars ever came through this nation. He's not the only one. All of us are liars. But he's one of the biggest ones that ever walked this nation. And now he wants to be your president. Now, don't be upset, because you've been choosing evil folks to be your president all your life. Those of you who've been voting, you've been voting for evil people all your life. And those of you who are coming into it, keeping on the same steps, you're voting for evil as well. But it's not just Republicans and Donald Trump. It's Democrats too. And everybody they put up there to represent you. The only thing difference in the Democrats and the Republicans, they are both about the same things. They work for the same people, the same power. The only difference is the Republicans are on a sprint to hell. They're sprinting. Got to get there quick. The Democrats are trotting. But be no mistake about it, they are both headed straight to hell. And all of you, when I mean all of you, who am I talking about? I made a little note. I don't want to leave some of you guys out. I'm talking about the race. All you races. When I say races, I'm talking about what you call a race. I'm talking about all you politicians. I'm talking about all the systems of the world. Not only that, I want you to know that capitalism, socialism, communism, and dictatorships are an offense to God, because they represent all of the systems on earth. They represent the treatment of people all over this earth, and it has nothing that lines up with what I just told you God created for all humans. Oh yes, some humans got it. They are the ones who work for the politicians, who work for these people who have decided to set God down. Now listen, ladies and gentlemen, God gave this to you, but it is your business to keep it. You can only keep it if you're real. If you are real, you can keep it. But if you're faking it, boy, you'll lose it in a heartbeat. Now, if you lose it, it'll be your duty to get it back. You don't have to get it back. You can go straight on to hell if that's your choice. But you can get heaven back on earth. That's your choice. But there's a price to pay. You see, when you gave it up, somebody else got it, and they want it just as bad as you do. And while you're a loving kind of person, They are not. They are haters and killers and liars and cheaters and stealers. And these things they will do to you. They will do this to you to keep this wonderful world and life that God gave you. And they will kill you. And they'll do all those things I just got through saying they'll do to you. But you know what? If you are real. Now let me say this to you good, because you heard that people say that self-defense is all right. Well, self-defense is all right if you know what self-defense is. Here's the matter. God is giver of life. That's why we make babies. Life. God didn't make bullets and guns. That's made by these others that I just got through telling you about. And what is that about? That's to take life. That's to intimidate fear, to intimidate you and control and manipulate you. So you can tell God to go to hell while you listen to the world. You didn't believe that, did you? Well, it's the absolute truth. So, when you try to get all this wonderful life back, I'm telling you about it, you think Republicans are going to like it? No. You think the Democrats are going to like it? No. Poor folks going to like it. People who realize what I'm talking about are going to like it. You think the millionaires are going to like it? Heck no. You think the billionaires are going to like it? Heck no. We'll spend hundreds of billions and millions to try to get me off the earth. But they can't get me off the earth if it's just a spiritual word. It's something that people understand spiritually. The one that's real. And see, you can't, that's an idea whose time has come. You've heard that before. So I'm sharing these things with you, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can prepare. I do want you to know, though, you can hear my words and you can embrace them and say, he's telling the truth. I'm going to take back my world. And I'm telling you, you're going to have a war on your hands. You heard of the Civil War? You heard of World War I, World War II, Korea? You heard all these conflicts and stuff? Baby, right here in America, changing America like I'm trying to tell you about, well, it would embrace that same kind of action. Man, you ain't seen no war. But here's what'll happen. If you're real, you got to be real now. You can't play this game. I'm not telling you some stuff to try to play and trick somebody. I'm not trying to tell you how smart Trump. I'm not trying to tell you how to outsmart the Democrat. I'm telling you the truth. You got to be real. You got to do what? You got to place, I think the golden rules are, you got to place God above every man. You got to place God above every system. You got to place God above every idea that it seems to be ungodly. So that means you got to love the Creator. But it just doesn't stop there. The next thing you got to do, you got to love the created. That means you got to love yourself and you got to love everyone else. That's right. You got to love everyone else, and lovers don't go killing. This is why you got to be real. Because if you are real, then God will fight your battle. If you are real, God will fight your battle. I'm going to say it again. If you are real, God will fight your battle. I know what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. There have been planes that fall out of the sky and everybody get killed. One person survived. There have been things in boats and people dropped out in the water. Everybody died. All of a sudden, you can't explain it. Somebody survives. People paratrooping, jumping out of planes. Parachute don't work. Still survive. People walking out there and got an army at their back and the Red Sea at their front. And all of a sudden, you watch the sea open and they walk through on dry land. I know you don't believe that one. I know you don't believe that, but I just thought I'd share it with you anyway. Because you know what, ladies and gentlemen? These miracles are true. God does all these things. I wouldn't tell you if I didn't know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you because I know what he's done for me. So what he's done for me, the stuff that I just shared with you is simple. Simple. So I tell you, with this kind of power, you straighten up and treat God as your master and treat each other as your brothers and sisters, and making sure that we ain't gonna let nobody, no liar, no cheater, no deceiver come in here and mess this game up. Because we're gonna expose it and we're gonna lift it up before the people and we're gonna shine God's light on it. We're gonna get rid of that stuff. I'm talking to you today right up, straight up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not talking to you as no intellectual. I'm talking to you, somebody down here with you. And we can stop this stuff. Yes? Now, I said, if we are real, that God will fight our battle, and He will have to, God will have to fight our battle if we are to win. Now, I made this what I got on the last page. All Americans are evil acting. Oops. All Americans are evil acting. That means all of us, you and I. It means the politicians, the military, the cops, the first responders, the engineers, the teachers, the athletes, the singers, the food producers, the drunks, the drug addicts, the business folks, the church folks, and everybody else. We're all guilty. We're all guilty of God. You say, I'm not guilty of all that stuff. Listen to ladies and gentlemen. Here's what you're guilty of. You might not be guilty of committing the acts themselves. And so you think you're cool. You wouldn't do that. But what you are doing is that you're putting up with it. You say, well, I talk about it. I don't like it. Yeah, but what are you doing to get rid of it? Is it your talk? Is it getting rid of it? Anybody listening? Well, talking ain't good enough. You got to do something else. And if you're not doing that, something else, then you're complacent with it. And by doing that, you empower it. It's like saying the only thing that evil needs is for good people to do nothing. And we got hell in America. We got hell on earth. There's no need of me in the future talking to you about George Floyd, 400 years of second-class citizen. I'll probably do it some more, but ain't no need. The thing what we're dealing with right now is heaven and hell, God and the devil. Those that represent the devil, who represents evil, and those that represent God, who represents love. So that's what we're talking about. When you go on TV and you start hearing those people talking about what the Democrats going to do, those are evil people saying that, as evil as they can be. And when you hear the Democrats saying what the Republicans are going to be doing, well, some of that stuff is right before your face. But the Democrats are evil too. And you who are listening, you're evil too. All of us are evil. This hell that we're living in is built on all of our hands. What hand is trying to straighten it up? You think Trump's hand is trying to straighten it up with his lies? Well, of course you do, because you lie all the time too. You're lying with Trump. So of course you believe it. But is it true? No, it's not true. So what is? Who is? You think the people in the church lifting up God? Are you kidding? I just asked you this. Are you kidding? Okay, so who's fixing the world? Nobody. Everybody just lying. They don't even know what fixing the world means. You know how come I know that? Why? Because for 40 years, I've given you the message that God has given me. And for 40 years, you turned your back, thought you were smarter than me. Oh, who is he? He don't know. He went to Alcorn. What does he know? He's black. What does he know? He ain't got no money. What does he know? For 40 years, God gave me the secrets to your life. And I came and told you for 40 years. And 40 years later, you know what you're doing? You're sitting up there trying to get the devil on the throne again. 40 years of telling you over and over. I've been to jail. I've been to prison. I've run for office. I've done everything I possibly could to get that word to you. But I can't make you believe it. I can't make you accept it. And 40 years later, just the other day, I celebrated my 19th day. September the 11th, 2001 was the day I was released from Minnesota State Prison for standing up for the same things that I'm talking to you about today. I knew George Bush was a crook. I knew there were going to be bad things happen to this country during his presidency. That's why I sought after the office. I didn't get it. But I went to prison to prove that I was a better man. I went to prison to prove that I'm the guy that would stand for you. But you voted for Bush. And now I'm still sitting there proving that I'm the man that would stand for you, because I'm standing and representing God. And what are you doing? You looking for Trump. Give me Trump, give me Trump, give me Trump, give me Biden. All of you people, smart lawyers, judges, attorney generals, all of you guys out there, give me a Democrat, give me a Republican. Come on, people. I thought you were smart. Well, until next time, goodbye.